Have you ever looked at your bank balance and felt your paycheck just disappeared into thin air? Yeah, that used to be me too. I wasn't broke, but I was broken by debt. And no matter how hard I hustled, I felt like I was running around in circles. Until I changed the way I thought about money. Because here's the truth. You don't get out of debt by earning more. You get out by thinking differently. Let me tell you something personal. A few years ago, I was buried under 4 different credit cards, a car loan, and one dumb payday loan I took out just to pay rent. I wasn't living, I was surviving, and it was exhausting. Then one night, I watched this random video by a financial coach who said, "Debt isn't just about money, it's about habits." Boom. That line hit me like a truck. Because he was right. I discovered the avalanche method. Here's how it works. You list all your debts, and you make minimum payments on everything, except the one with the highest interest rate. You attack that one like it owes you money. This method saves the most money over time because interest is what kills you. For me, that was a store credit card charging 29.9% APR. That card alone was draining me. So I went all in, cut expenses, sold some junk, even freelanced late at night, and knocked it off in 4 months. It felt like taking a deep breath after drowning. But emotionally, the snowball method hit different terrain. A few months later, I switched to the snowball method for my remaining debts. It's the opposite strategy. You start with the smallest balance, pay that off first, even if the interest is lower. Psychologically, this works like magic, because you get small wins fast. And small wins build momentum. I paid off a $700 balance in one go, and I felt powerful. Momentum fuels motivation, and motivation builds discipline. Let's get real. I used to spend like money was infinite, but it wasn't, and that mindset kept me broke. So I started tracking every dollar using the YNAB app. You need a budget. You'd be shocked how much disappears on little things that don't matter. Snacks, random subscriptions, buying new stuff to feel good. I also read this quote that changed how I shop. If you wouldn't buy it twice, don't buy it once. Oof. That one hurt, but it made me pause before swiping my card. There was a time I genuinely believed I was just bad with money. Like it was some personality trait I had to live with, like being clumsy or having a sweet tooth. But the truth was, I had developed a handful of habits that were quietly bleeding me dry. I didn't notice it at first, but eventually, it all added up. Month after month, overdraft after overdraft, until one day I realized I was broke. Not just financially, but mentally too. One of the hardest habits I had to face was impulse spending. And I'm not talking about the occasional coffee or treat. I mean full-blown emotional spending. If I was sad, bored, stressed, lonely, boom, online shopping cart full. Designer clothes I'd never wear, skincare I didn't need, a gadget I didn't even know how to use. It felt good for 10 minutes, then guilt would set in. But that didn't stop me. It was a cycle, and an expensive one. Another habit? Avoiding bills. I used to see an envelope with a logo and immediately shove it in a drawer. Out of sight, out of mind, right? But debt doesn't disappear just because you pretend it's not there. And the longer I avoided it, the worse it got. Late fees, higher interest, and more anxiety. And this one's gonna hit home for a lot of you. Telling myself, I deserve this, even when I couldn't afford it. I'd work a long shift, come home tired, open my phone, and think, I earned a little treat. But what I didn't realize was that the treat came with a hidden cost. A few dollars here, a few hundred there, all charged to a future version of me who was already drowning. But perhaps the most toxic habit of all? Comparing my lifestyle to others on social media. I'd see someone my age flying first class, wearing designer sneakers, drinking lattes in Paris, and I'd feel like I was behind. I didn't stop to ask if they were in debt, or faking it, or had help. I just felt like I needed to catch up. So I tried, and I fell deeper into the trap. The truth is, none of these habits came from being bad with money. They came from shame, from not learning financial skills early, from thinking I had to keep up, from tying my self-worth to my spending power. And once I saw that clearly, everything began to change. I stopped using shopping as therapy and started going to a therapist. I set a date with my bank account, and it became a weekly date night habit, not a panic attack. I faced my bills, even the scary ones, and made a plan. I started asking myself, not, do I deserve this, but can I afford this without sabotaging myself? And I unfollowed influencers who made me feel small, and followed ones who taught me how to build my future with wisdom, skills, and experience. So if any of that sounds like you, just know you're not broken, you're not alone. And you can change. I did, and I'm still changing, one decision at a time. Because being rich isn't about having money. It's about knowing what to do when you don't. I didn't wake up one day magically debt-free. It took small, unglamorous habits stacked consistently over time. What really changed my life wasn't a six-figure job or some miracle inheritance. It was structure, a boring, repeatable system. And once I figured it out, I never looked back. Every Sunday, I sit down with my coffee, pull out my phone, open my banking apps, and look at every account. It's my budgeting Sunday. It takes about 10 minutes. No spreadsheets, no overwhelm, just clarity. And trust me, the peace that comes from knowing your numbers, it's addicting. Before this, I used to live in constant anxiety, just guessing what was in my account and hoping my credit card wouldn't decline. Now I own every dollar that enters and leaves my life. I started using zero-based budgeting. That means every dollar has a job. Even the fun money I use for Netflix, coffee, or impulse treats. I used to think budgeting was restrictive, but giving your money direction is actually liberating. It made me realize I wasn't broke. I was just careless with assigning my money. And then I did something very old school. I went analog, the cash envelope method. I'd pull out cash for things like groceries, gas, eating out, whatever categories I tended to overspend in. If the envelope was empty, that was it for the month. Simple. It trained me to respect limits again, something I'd totally lost when everything was digital and swipeable. To keep myself going, I created a debt thermometer chart and taped it to my wall. Every payment I made, I colored in a little more. Yes, it felt silly at first, but watching that red bar climb higher was more satisfying than scrolling through TikTok. That little progress tracker made the invisible effort visible. It kept me motivated on the worst days. And automation? Game changer. I set up automatic payments for all my minimums. That way, I'd never get slapped with a late fee again. Then I'd manually pay anything extra with the leftover money I planned out on Sunday. It gave me control, but also removed the chance of messing up due to forgetfulness or stress. This system saved my financial life. And the best part? Anyone can do it. You don't need to be perfect. Just be consistent. If you're an influencer, content creator, or just building public domain content, share your debt journey. Not just the wins. Share the ugly parts too. I posted my debt payoff milestones, and people cheered me on, DM'd me with their own stories, and some even paid me to coach them on their journey. Vulnerability created opportunity and accountability. Debt isn't a money problem, it's a mindset problem. I learned that wealth isn't what you flex, it's what you keep. And the best flex? Being financially free enough to say no, to walk away, to rest, and to dream bigger. So whether you're using the avalanche method, snowball method, or just starting to budget for the first time, know this: you can climb out. I did, and I was deep. You just have to stop digging.